Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. My name is Emma and today we're going through how we make this piece, which is the Zipper Sweater Light by Petite Knit. So if you follow my monthly update videos, you know I've already made one of these, so I know exactly what to expect from this particular pattern and what the end piece is going to be looking like. I made a gift knit and I'm going to be making mine exactly the same as this one. Same color, same yarn, everything's the same. I'm just doing slightly different sizing for myself versus what I did for the gift knit. So I am super excited to get my version casted on because I know what the end results are going to be like. And it wasn't too much of like a heavy knit. The yarn that I ended up using is a little bit lighter than probably a DK weight yarn. So it's going to be a really versatile piece that's not like excessively warm, you know what I mean. The quarter style zipper is also like such a popular design at the moment. I see them everywhere in the stores, probably more from like an athleisure point of view, but I'm starting to see a few more like knitted ones, in particular like cable ones I'm noticing are popping up a lot. So I reckon before we know it, there's going to be a cabled zipper sweater pattern out there very soon. So a few details about the pattern, as I kind of already alluded to, it is a DK weight knit and is meant to be knit on 4mm needles. The pattern comes in sizes extra small to 5XL and is meant to have around about 20 centimeters of positive ease. I'm going to be making mine in a extra large this time. As I said before, my yarn's a little bit lighter than DK, so I've had to make a little bit of adjustment for gauge. But that should give me around about 23 centimeters of positive ease. The gift knit that you saw me wearing here, that one was like a mix of sizes. I initially cast it on as a medium, and then as I was knitting my yoke, I remeasured my gauge and realized I was like super duper off. And so I kind of adjusted. So the body ended up coming out to I think close to a large stitch count, and I think the sleeves were close to like an extra large stitch count. So it was a little bit all over the show, but it had around about 15 centimeters of positive ease. And I think that one looked really good on, but this particular style of sweater can definitely lean towards being very much oversized. So I'm going for the extra large with the hopes of getting that kind of just above 20 centimeters of ease that's recommended for the piece. In terms of construction for this one, it is knit top down. It is the raglan style construction, and it's knit in basically all over stockinette stitch. Now the yoke on this one is mostly knit flat because you need to create the gap for the zipper. Once you've reached the right depth for your particular zipper, that's when you join in the round and everything else is worked in the round thereafter. So you cast on for this one using Judy's Magic Cast On, and you knit a big chunk of ribbing to do the folded collar. You kind of seam that together and then you establish your yoke. So for your yoke section, you start working like your raglans increases whilst doing some short rows on the back section. You knit your yoke down flat until you get to the right depth for your zipper, which is totally customizable, by the way. Use whatever zipper you can get your hands on. You can make that length whatever you want. You don't need to follow the pattern. So yeah, once you reach the right depth, you join that together in the round, continue to your yoke down until you reach the right length for your yoke. You then separate body and sleeves, continue the body down the stockinette, finish off some 1x1 ribbing. You then pick up your sleeves, you work some gradual decreases down the sleeve, and then again finish off with your 1x1 ribbing. And then lastly, you've got to install your zipper. So that requires knitting a little bit of a facing for like the back on the inside piece. So you get a really nice edge on both inside and outside of the zipper. And you would normally hand sew that down, but you can also machine sew that one in if you have access to one. So for my piece, I'm using this Temu yarn held double with the supporting cotton that it comes with. It's meant to be 100% cashmere. I have no idea what actual weight this particular yarn is. I'm going to go with like a light fingering weight. It is very thin, but I picked this particular one because it feels lovely and the color's right. I've been having a really hard time trying to find that right kind of espresso brown color, and this one was like spot on. So I love the color of this particular one, and I like the feel of the yarn, but it is very light and thin, and it's probably synthetic, not cashmere, but it says it's cashmere. I don't know if I mentioned the color was number 37 coffee. So the cost for this only comes in 6 packs from Temu. So I got my first 6-pack for $24.90. So it comes out to $4.32 per ball of yarn. I brought that just to check the color. That was actually something I was happy with and was gonna like. And then I waited for it to go on special, and I brought 5 more packets because I was making 2 sweaters. And I got those on special for $18.35 a pack, or $3.06 per ball. So quite considerably cheaper when I bought the bulk amount. Because my yarn is so thin, I am sizing up in my needles to try meat gauge, and I did think that I did initially meat gauge when I knitted like a little flat swatch, but like I said before, when I was doing my gift knit, turns out when I was knitting the actual piece, I was actually way more off gauge than I thought I was. So I've sized up to 4.5s for mine. I also did size up for all of the other needles used as well, just by 0.5 millimeter to keep it all consistent. The other things that you'll need for this particular piece is your zipper. I ended up buying one from Petite Knit herself because, again, I was looking for one that was like that brown color and I couldn't quite find what I was looking for, so I just ended up buying from her website. It actually wasn't too expensive and the shipping was fine as well. Like, I would totally just like buy it again, and because I was picking up 2, like, it made it even better of a deal for me. But yeah, you need a 35 centimeter zipper according to the pattern, but just adjust it if you have a shorter one. And I do recommend getting some pins, like those sewing pins, to like pin it and hold it in place. It's going to make installing a lot easier as well. So for mods, I'm not doing too much. It's more just like sizing tweaks that I'm making on mine. So one thing I didn't like about my gift knit is how tight the collar was. Now I did cast on for a medium, but the collars, like, they don't jump up significantly in sizes. Like, a few sizes use the same collar stitch count, and then it's like your yoke depth kind of makes it wider as you knit down. Hopefully that kind of makes sense. So there's not a significant jump up. So I'm casting on, well, I'm making an extra large, but I'm going to cast on for the larger size. It's only 8 stitches difference between casting on for an extra large versus like the larger size. So like that, not super significant. To adjust that stitch count, basically I'm going to cast on, follow all the instructions for the bigger size, but when it comes to the depth of my yoke, I'll be following the extra large. And so that all I need to do is basically eliminate 1 raglan round, where you increase 8 stitches in total, and that will balance out my stitch count and bring me, keep me in line with the extra large in terms of sizing. Hopefully that made sense. And that's really the only modification that I'm going to make to mine. Depending on my yoke depth, I may end up spacing out some of my raglans by like 2 knit rounds in between, but I'll just have to play that one by ear. I tried to work out all the like row counts on what I did on the gift knit versus what I'll end up doing on the extra large, and I think the yoke depth is going to be pretty spot on if I just follow the instructions as is. But I'll do like a sense check at some point. I will stop and just make sure that I am going to reach a desirable yoke depth, and if I'm not, then I'll start spacing them out towards the end. On the gift knit, I did add some extra length after doing the raglans, and I didn't like how it looked because you can see basically the raglan has like a really harsh stop, so I'd rather space the raglans out to get that depth in. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, that's the only thing I'm going to be doing in terms of modifications on my piece. First impressions on the pattern. I've already made the pattern, so it's not really like first impressions, but I found it very well written. It's really easy to read. There's enough like checkpoints in terms of stitch counts and things like that. I will say some of the techniques seemed a little bit confusing at first, like when you're having to like seam together the collar. It wasn't something that I'd ever done before, and the written instructions kind of confused me a little bit, but I watched a video tutorial of someone doing it, and then I read the instructions and I was like, it makes perfect sense. I just wasn't quite grasping it the first time. So I guess some things can seem a little bit confusing, but it all makes sense. It's pretty easy. In terms of skill level for this one, the pattern does mention it's 4 out of 5 stars in terms of the difficulty rating, but in terms of users in Ravelry, most people have given it like about a 50-50 on terms of ease. To be honest, it's a basic raglan sweater. It's really not that hard. The only complicated thing is going to be installing the zipper, and that's not even that complicated. It's just fiddly. It's a little bit fiddly and a little bit time consuming, but the rest of the piece is so simple and so easy. You won't have a problem at all with making this particular piece. Now, Usual disclaimer here, this is not going to be a detailed tutorial on making the zipper sweater light by Petite Knit. It is just me taking you along on my journey. I'll have the pattern and I'll have any other useful videos that I used from doing like the gift knit into this one as well. Anything useful that I've used, all linked down below. Make sure you give us a thumbs up while you're down there if you do enjoy this video. Otherwise, let's begin. So that's the collar now done, folded, connected. So we're going to move on to the yoke section. So we're doing some short rows whilst we establish our raglans, and then just continue to knit that down until we get to the right depth for the zipper section. So I need to place some stitch markers in first. Alrighty, so you can see all the short rows are now finished. It gives a bit of a taper just towards the front there. So now I just continue knitting this yoke down until I reach the right length for my zipper, and then we join in the round. Alrighty, first try on. Here's how we are looking. I feel like the body is actually pretty good length. I have to do a little bit more before I start my ribbing. And the sleeve is, I'm not sure. Basically, I've done, I think I only have like 2 more in like decrease rounds that I need to do. But I'm only like maybe 2/3 or like halfway. Like my elbow is like right here. So I'm just past halfway on my sleeve. I feel like I can definitely space these decreases out significantly more than what I'm currently doing. So I don't know if I'm happy with this width or if I want to maybe, do I rip back and redo them? I don't want to rip back my whole sleeve and redo it. That's going to be a pain in the ass, but at the same time, like, I really like the sleeve on my gift knit that was quite wide because I only did like a handful of decreases and then I just decreased at the cuff. And I kind of like the look of this, of that one, sorry. Whereas this one, it's like getting skinny pretty quick. It's not too skinny, but I don't know, just because like this jumper's quite wide here and like I haven't blocked it yet, so it's going to just grow a little bit. But I feel like, I don't know what I should do with that sleeve, if I should space them out more or because I want to get down to like here. So I could definitely space them out like every 10 rows and it wouldn't be a problem. I think I've done mine every 8 rows. I could maybe even do them every 12 rows, to be honest. Like, I don't know, what do I do? All right, so I just did my try on and I think I'm going to rip back my sleeve and space these decreases out more. Because as you would have just seen, it's not, I don't know, it's not like it's too narrow at the moment. I think it looks probably fine, but in comparison to the body, because I've gone like a size up and everything like that, I feel like the sleeve is getting too tapered too quickly. And I do like the look on my gift knit where I kind of just did the decreases at the cuff and like cinched that cuff in a bit versus having just tapering off and then going straight into ribbing. So I don't know if I'm going to space these out every 10 rounds or every 12 rounds. Currently I've done 8 and we're definitely too close together. Every 10 means I should probably get the same number of decreases. So I'm thinking I might end up spacing it out further and doing every 12 rounds so that when I get down to the cuff, I'll have to do like a decrease round on the cuff, but it won't be very dramatic. So I just need to kind of work out what my stitch count's going to be for the decreases to make sure that it's going to be enough of a cinch in, but it's not like too dramatic, if you know what I mean. So I just got to compare my notes to what I did last time to what I'm going to do this time. But I think I'm going to rip all the way back. I might rip back to where I picked up. So see if I can make this join look neater. I think what I should maybe do here is maybe not pick up any stitches and just stitch it together, like the whole together later, because these bigger stitches are just looking really ugly, like these decreases that I did here. I did center double decreases because I had so many stitches to pick up, but it just doesn't look nice. And so I might just maybe pick it up later. So let's do that. Okie dokie. Now that all my sleeve stitches are like safe and secure, I actually think I might just do my facing here first while I don't have annoying sleeves flopping around. And then I'll go back and pick up that sleeve because I need to now rewind all my yarn again, which is going to be fun. Alright, so I ripped back my sleeve, I've re-knit it down, spacing out my decreases every 12 rows versus I was doing every 8 rows before. So I've now worked the same number of rows that I would have worked previously had I followed like the pattern recommendation for the number of decreases based on my row, whatever, right? So I've got like a couple less decreases than what the pattern actually asks for, but I do probably need a wee bit more length before we start the ribbing, but I think I might block this at this stage because I want to sew in the zipper, and you can see it kind of like pulls up a little bit when I cinch this in, so that will give me a better idea of how the piece is gonna, how much length I need to kind of add and how much this is gonna grow. Same for the body. I'm pretty much like, I only need a little bit of extra length on the body before I start the ribbing, so we're at the point now where 3 different areas need to be like blocked so that we can kind of keep progressing on. So I think even though this looks too short right now, we'll block it, we'll see how much it grows, and then we'll decide when we start the ribbing. But I'm pretty sure this is meant to have quite a long cuff on it, if I remember correctly. I think it's maybe like 12 centimeters or something crazy. I don't think I knit that much on my last one, but like we're pretty much good to move on if it's like 12 centimeters at this point, I reckon. So let's get blocking. All right, and post block. Look, the sleeve grew quite a decent amount, if I'm being honest. It grew a lot more than I thought. I think I need to install my zipper because that's going to like pinch the jumper up a little bit. But I'm basically ready to move on to my ribbing for this sleeve. Alrighty, so I've sewn down my facing. As you would have saw, I had the like white thread there as a guide to like make sure that when I was sewing it down, I was keeping like a consistent straight line all the way down. So that's now been sewn down on one side, and I've pinned my zipper in place for both sides. It's a little bit rough on the inside, but I'm less concerned about what it looks like on the inside than the outside. So what I'm going to do now is start sewing it down. Just want to test. Got some sideways pins here. I find like when I'm pinning it, because I'm pinning like vertical on both sides, the pins like get stuck on each other and you can't like pin properly. But if I can get this zipped up, oh my gosh, the pin is literally stuck in the zipper. There we go. See, so it's going to zip up fine. It's just because I've got the little balls of the pin in the way in the bottom here. But I kept all these pins, these stitch markers in place to make sure that like I'm keeping relatively aligned with each side. And so I've got that on the front and the back sides as well, just to make sure that everything's like even Stevens. Honestly, the more pins I feel, the like easier it is to like everything done. So I'm now going to attempt to start sewing this down. This is going to take me forever to sew down, but let's get into it. So zipper's now been installed. It is running nice and smooth. This took me like 2.5 hours to end up getting done, so quite a wee while. Now I need to decide on my sleeve. I still haven't counted my stitch counts yet, so I think I just need to do that and see if moving on to the ribbing now, like doing decreases to reach the right like cuff size is going to make it look too balloon-esque or not. And if it is going to look too balloon-esque, then I may end up redoing the sleeve. But I really don't want to do that. Overall, I'm not loving the fit of this one. I think I've made some poor choices. I don't think I should have sized up on my collar, because what I'm finding, particularly now that I've got the zipper on, is that the weight of this piece of fabric can't support the weight. Like, this is a very soft and drapey fabric that I've created, and I just don't think it's suitable for this construction. So what I'm finding, you can see how much this like neckline is kind of like sinking down and splaying out. So my last zipper jumper, this sat more up like here. And I think that's what's making the fit down here starting to look a little bit weird, because it's sinking forward. So the front's coming longer than the back, and it's making the yoke section just like too long. But like, I wanted a long collar. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to tighten this neckline so it kind of stays sitting up and doesn't splay out, and I think that will fix some of the problem. But yeah, see what I mean? Like, I've also got a top on underneath this, so I think that's pulling on it a little bit too, but it should fit a little bit more like this, where this raglan's looking nice. But yeah, so I don't know the best way to go about tightening up this collar. I do have some elastic, so I could put some elastic in. I may also look at some tutorials on like crocheting like a tight seam situation to tighten up the collar. But the collar is doing what I wanted it to do, which was be like a little bit loose around my neck so that I can basically put my face into this collar is what I wanted. But let me just do all this. This is probably like rubbing all over my microphone. If I wear this over time, this neckline is just going to come like lower down and spread out more. So it's not achieving the look that I wanted to go for. So we need to tighten this and bring this up somehow. So gotta solve for this problem, gotta make a decision on the sleeve. Let's go. Alrighty, so I'm gonna attempt to do like a crochet line. I think it's slip stitch crochet is what she said in the video, to try bring my neckline in a little bit. So I'm not sure what like needle size I'm meant to using. I'm using a 4mm hook. I'm pretty sure my ribbing was on 4mm, so I'm assuming that's the right size to go with. And I'm going to basically skip every so many stitches. So I think I might pick up every 3 out of 4. I don't know how tight I want to be at. The good thing with this is it's like quite easy to like undo, so it doesn't like fuck up your work or anything like that. And so if it doesn't work out, it's too tight or it's too loose and like splaying out still, I can just go back and adjust my like pickup ratio. So I'm not too concerned with that. So now I need to work out how to do this. This is hard. I think this is too fat. I think I need a smaller hook. Let's go with 3.5. Let's see if that works out all right. It's definitely pinched in a wee bit. All right, let's try it on. So this is the effect of the crochet seam. It looks so much better. It's definitely like cinched it in. Maybe a smidge too much though, because this collar is it is quite big, and now it's kind of like, you can see it's like bulging a little bit on the back just because of the weight of the fabric. It looks a bit funny. So maybe I should have stuck something reinforcing something in there to kind of like hold it upright. I don't know, but let's half unzip it. I don't know, it's just not sitting the same as my like gift knit. I definitely like the fit of my gift knit better than the fit of this one that's coming out, but it's not too bad. So I might redo that seam, but do it either a little bit looser or do it actually like within the ribbing, because I've done it in that purl, like the first round, just underneath the ribbing for it to cinch in like a seam. But maybe if I do it within the actual ribbing, maybe that will look better. But for now, I'm calling that problem solved. I can tidy that up later, but it holds it in place for the time being, which means everything's kind of sitting how I want it to sit. So now we just have to decide on sleeve. I don't know. I think I might do a little bit more. I think I might do one more set of like a decrease, one more set, and then I think I'll move on to the ribbing. Decisions being made on the sleeve because I want to get this finished and it's taking so long. So let's do that. Alrighty, we have 2 sleeves on. Now, normally this would be an exciting moment, having finished sleeves, but we're going to redo the sleeve. I already ripped back the sleeve once. Now I'm going to have to rip it back a second time. But what I basically did differently in my sleeves is the decreases. So this one I spaced out my decreases every 12 rounds, and then I did a few additional decreases before I moved on to my cuff ribbing. So it cinches in just a smidge at the cuff. This sleeve, I did them all like evenly spaced out throughout, no decrease round before starting the cuff. This sleeve's like a couple rounds longer too. I haven't blocked it yet, so this is mostly blocked. This one's not blocked at all, so they kind of look the same at the moment, but when I block it, this one will grow just a little bit. But yeah, can you see a difference? Not that much. You can kind of tell this one like puffs just a little bit here. This one puffs less so. I don't know. Was it worth it? Probably not. Let's be real. But anyways, now I have uneven sleeves and I want them to be even. So we're going to rip back the sleeve and start her again. and here she is, all done and dusted. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm so glad this one is finally done and off the needles, because I knit two like back to back and they're identical, like same yarn, everything like that, it's just different sizes. I do feel like I've been working on this project for like a year, and it's been basically close to a year if I add up the two jumpers together. But yeah, she's finally done and I'm happy. So let's go over a quick summary on her. So I did end up spending 115 hours on this particular project. I did end up knitting sleeves a couple times, which is what's kind of like added to that time. So it's a little bit longer than what I would typically spend on like a jumper. And I also knit this over a really long period of time too. So this took me 25.5 weeks to finish. So that's basically 6 months. It's probably one of the knits that's been on my needles for like the longest amount of time, and that's just because I didn't really prioritize this one because I had already made one and like what ifs. I really wanted to get mine done, but at the same time like other projects were just exciting me a little bit more than this particular piece was, so that's why it took so long. But I ended up using about 7, almost 8 balls of the Timu yarn that I had for this one. I don't know what the weight or the meterage is for that because it's so inaccurate, but the cost based on that, and considering that I already own the pattern, so it was just really yarn in the zipper, this one comes to $51.48, which is steal. If this yarn was actually cashmere, like that's just mind-blowing. I don't think it is. Let's be real. In terms of modifications made to this particular piece, same as what I mentioned at the very start. So I did only just do a size up for my collar, and then to account for the extra stitches, I did one less raglan increase. I spaced up my raglans just a wee bit to get a bit of extra yoke depth there. To be honest, did I need to do that? Probably not, but I did. The only other thing I did since introing this piece, which isn't really a mod, but just a different technique that I did on the sweater to some of the other sweaters that I've done recently, and that was the provisional cast on for the underarm stitches. So you would have seen that I did that, and I first tried to, like, you still had holes on like either side where you had picked up the stitches, and you know, first time I went to like try to close those holes and it looked really messy and I wasn't really loving it. Second time I did the sleeve, I just left them open and I was like, I'll deal with them later. And that's at the point where I realized this whole time I've been picking up my underarm, like, well, closing those underarm holes wrong. So I've been like picking up new stitches when really what you're meant to be doing is picking up the legs of the stretched out stitches in order to close the gap. And like when I say it out loud, like it makes so much sense. Like, why did I not think about that? I don't know. But now that I've discovered a correct way of doing it, well, there's no real correct way, but like a better way of doing it, I'm super happy with these underarms, and I will be using this technique moving forward, that provisional cast on. And you can see, oops, there's a little strand poking out there, but like those holes are basically seamless, they're really neat and tidy, and that whole like cast on edge, it just looks super polished. Even though it's the underarm, no one's looking at it anyway. It's really no extra effort at the end of the day compared to picking up the stitches. I actually find it a little bit less effort because then I don't have to remember how many stitches I need to pick up. They're just there, ready to go. So yeah, like that technique on that one. Quick reflections on the aspects of this knit. Let's start with the yarn. So, colour, love the colour. We all know this, right? This is why I purchased this particular yarn. Was for the colour because I couldn't find anything else at the time similar to this colour. Now, I'm pretty sure I could get a drop yarn that would be very, very close to this colour. That would probably be a better choice than the yarn that I picked up here. It is, however, it's very nice and soft. It feels very comfortable, like it's lovely. But I have worn this a couple times since finishing it. And I will say, first of all, wear and tear on this bad boy. It is starting to pill. And I know from the person who I gave my gift knit to that they said theirs pilled really badly. I've literally only worn this like around the house. I haven't like, and only for like the last couple of days. I don't even know if it's going to show up on camera. But there is definitely like pilling starting to happen, like everywhere. Even just like on the body, it's all just looking a little bit like you know, and I hope it's just like the initial pill and it looks a little bit better thereafter if I depill it, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But also this yarn, I'm 99.9% sure that this is an acrylic yarn. It's definitely okay. I mean, I brought it from Temu, let's be real. No one ever thought that it was actually cashmere, but it could have been a natural fiber. But the reason why I don't think it's a natural fiber is because like I went down to the supermarket and it's like a bit chilly outside, but I was just like sweating in this jumper. Like as soon as I do any movement in this jumper, I just start getting really hot and like sweaty and gross in this particular knit. Now, wool is meant to be kind of that regulates your temperature a little bit better so that you don't get hot and sweaty. You might be warm, but you shouldn't really like sweat so much, and especially not when it was like just a short walk. It's like not even any real activity there. So for that reason, I'm 99% sure this is like an acrylic base yarn, which is fine. It serves its purpose and I like the color and it's comfortable to wear otherwise. But because you get like kind of sticky and sweaty in it, I think this is just for like working at home type of jumper where I don't really need to do it. I'm just sitting there doing nothing great. I think that's when I'm going to really wear this particular piece because of this yarn choice. In terms of pattern summary, very easy to read. It's patina pattern. They're all the same. If you've read one, you've read them all basically. Super easy to follow, crystal clear, had no issues with that pattern at all. I would say that this particular pattern is, I would put it at advanced beginner, and the only reason I put it at an advanced beginner is because of the zipper installation. The rest of the piece, very simple knit. This is just a raglan. Like if you can do your knits, your purls, your increases, decreases, you're going to be able to make this jumper no problem. If you haven't done a Judy's Magic cast on for the first time, it may seem a little bit confusing at first, but it's actually very easy to do, and I love the technique's my favorite. So all of that's actually very easy, and I say that all of those steps are beginner friendly. Installing the zipper isn't hard per se, it's just fiddly. It is very fiddly to do, but once you kind of get the hang of it, like once you get it done, it's done and you can just move on. You're like, that's the hardest, most time consuming part. So once you get over that milestone, you're almost there, you know. I would recommend once you've done your yoke, like installing your zipper at some point just to get over that hurdle. And also you're going to know how it's going to fit better when you've got the zipper in because you can close it. And as I've discovered with mine, the weight of the zipper can actually impact your end piece as well. But that aside, back to the pattern, would I recommend this pattern? Absolutely, you know I would. Very easy, great piece, classic. She's a classic. In terms of, the end piece and my likes and dislikes on it, you know, I've already talked about this many a times, all my monthly updates and whatnot. The past one that I made, it's, like I said, it's a classic design. It's good. I like this pattern so much of the end piece. I like the look of it, the feel of the yarn, everything about it. It's really nice. It's very comfy, but, you know, there are some fit issues with this particular piece. And again, I think it's more down to my yarn choice than anything else. So because I ended up sizing up in my collar, what's happened is when I was wearing it, you were seeing it was starting to like splay very far out down on the shoulders. The whole thing was just like stretching out this way because this yarn it's very soft and drapey and it just doesn't really have much structure to it. Easy fix by doing that crochet seam on the inside of the jumper. That totally like fixed that fit issue straight away. Kind of annoys me that I did like a seamless like cast on though, and that looks so nice, and I had to then put a seam into it, and that kind of annoys me a little bit, but you don't see it because it's on the inside, so who really cares? You also don't like feel or anything like that, like it's not uncomfortable or anything, so that's fine. But that was something I didn't really think about with this particular yarn and sizing up in this collar, that like the weight of the zipper on the front is probably going to pull my piece forward, and the bigger it is, the more excessive fabric there is, the more it's going to kind of come this way. The yarn's very drapey, so like the back collar here, it kind of like sags down a little bit. It's not enough for me to like really do anything about it post finishing. It is what it is, but be mindful. This isn't just for this particular piece, but like your yarn choice matters to what type of garment you're making, and so you need to pick something that's appropriate for the garment so that it's going to come with the desired impact, you know, like having a super drapey yarn like this for something that needs a little bit of structure isn't probably the bestest. And like how they say, don't knit cables with alpaca, because the alpaca it doesn't really show off the cable much at all. So there's not like no point in doing the cables type of thing. So yarn choice definitely matters. And I think that's only something you can learn with time and experience. As you knit with some things, maybe it won't work. You learn, you know, for next time type of thing. So that is what it is. But yeah, again, because this yarn is super drapey, because this is pulling forward still a little bit, the fit on the back, you might see this also like in the try on video. I pointed it out. Like this is just sitting, I mean, it's exaggerated because it's on the coat hanger at the moment, but the back does sit higher than the front. And I think that's possibly a combination of, yeah, again, because it's pulling forward, the weight of the zipper and everything is kind of pulling the piece forward this way. But it may also be because my row gauge would have been way off. So therefore the short rows that I did add into this particular piece, it just wasn't enough extra fabric to really do anything to help with that lifting of the back. My ribbing here in the bottom as well, like I haven't blocked this since doing the last little bit of it. I've just been wearing it because it's been randomly really cold this week. Like the weather was getting really nice and then it just went cold and I was like, actually, I want to wear this while I've got an opportunity to wear it. I don't want to wait for it to like block and dry, because by the time it does that, the weather's probably going to get warm again and I wouldn't have been able to wear it. So I wanted to get some wear out of it so I could at least comment on that. But since it's not been blocked, I'm hoping the blocking will fix it. But the ribbing like puffs out just a little bit compared to the actual piece and it looks a little bit funny. So this is one where it could have done with like either some decreases or a smaller needle on the body ribbing, because the arm cuffs look fine because they like that cinches in perfectly fine, even though there's no decreases at the very end for this one, was there? I can't remember. I don't think there was. You only do decreases on the sleeve, but the actual stock net to ribbing, there was no decreases from memory. And that one looks fine. I don't know why this is like puffing out on the bottom here. It looks like I went up in needle size, but I didn't. I definitely went down. But that's like really, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird why it's doing that. But I don't love that. So there's a couple like fit issues that we've got here. And I'm pretty sure it's 99% all just due to like my yarn choice more than anything else. Because the first one that I did as well, I don't recall having any of these issues with it. And that's possibly because the yoke section was a lot like more fitted. So it probably sat on the body a little bit better and everything was a little bit more even. And it didn't have the opportunity to drape forward because there was no like excess fabric for it to pull forward. So yeah, interesting. So ultimately, I think I like the first edition better than I like this edition for those reasons. Other than that, only considerations for a future project, definitely just yarn choice. I think what I'm going to do with this one actually is, because it is fine, like I say, if we're wearing around the house, it's perfectly fine. It's comfortable, it's great, I love it. So I'm going to wear this until it like really wears out and the yarn looks really shitty, and then I think I will buy some better quality yarn in the same kind of brown color and make a new one at some point. We're talking like next year or the year after though, but you know, at some point I think we will just replace this with a like for like but better quality yarn, because it's otherwise like I like everything else about it, it's just the fit's a little bit funky. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this one. It's not as, I don't love it as much as I thought I was going to, having like tried the first one on and really loving that one. So I'm a little bit not disappointed, but like it's kind of sad because it took so long and it's finally here and now I'm kind of like, yeah, she's okay. But yeah, it is just that. It's not that it's bad, it's just okay. But if I had another one in a different yarn, I think I would love it a lot more. So watch this space. We might have another one in the future, well into the future. But yeah, that's about it for this particular project, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do those YouTube-y things. Check out my channel if you want to get more regular real-time updates, because I have my monthly updates. They are like these project vlogs at this point are like probably 3 or 4 months after I've actually finished the piece. So check those out for more real-time updates on what I'm working on. Otherwise, anything that you see in those in those monthly updates, typically turn into project vlogs as well. So you can get a more deep dive into any of the pieces that I'm working on. And yeah, that's it from me, guys. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye. Is a decade. Ooh, did I say that right? It's a little bit about the pattern. It's a little bit about the piece. It's a little bit about this piece. Let me do that bit again. Which side am I working on? This side. Oh my god, can the traffic not? Just realized I've been using the wrong fucking DPN this whole time. Oh my god, this is going to be like impossible to even thread my needle. Oh, I just realized I'm holding the wrong end of the yarn. Oops, I think I'm doing the wrong ones. But problem solved. Oh my god, I haven't even been talking in my microphone this whole time. I just did all that on a 4mm. I was meant to do it on a smaller needle. Damn it.